descended into the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack, a commercial diving podcast by working divers for divers.
The views and opinions expressed by the guests on this podcast are that of their own. In no way, shape, or form do they reflect the official policy or position of the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack.
So I know we've all been doing some digging into this because it affects the dive industry, and the thing that we're trying to do collectively is try to protect our work, protect our divers, make sure that they have good learning environment and that they have a good working environment. During some of our research that Leo has been helping us, work on, we found some disturbing news, as far as some other additional accidents that have happened associated with the school. Now, a lot of these reports are coming to us. They're not confirmed reports. They're not on the record, so they're coming to us from undisclosed sources. But there are news stories that are associated with it, and there's also we're finding stuff on social media as well. So that's kind of how we're piecing together, a lot of the story. So I was hearing that there was a couple other accidents before this one. There was a suicide on campus, and stuff like that happens. It's unfortunate, but stuff like that does happen.
Definitely.
And again, our hearts go out to the families of everyone involved. So we heard that out, and we started doing a little bit more digging, and then we also found out that they had trouble with one of their instructors. That there was a SWAT style raid on the school because one of the instructors was tied to a crime. Again, these undisclosed sources, they said that it was, tied to some type of murder crime. So the school was raided, and, you can't hide a raid. I mean, there's multiple, people that are going to see something like that. So I'm pretty confident that it did happen. But we will be getting the police or incident report. I just have to request it. And it's pretty easy to get those reports. Also, on top of that, there was another death that occurred during a scuba training accident. And this was at Flamingo Lake. And that diver died during the course of training. And it was just really sad. So we saw the widow's Facebook page, and she kind of told the story a little bit about what happened. And it's a really, really sad story. He leaves behind two kids and a beautiful wife. And there is a Facebook GoFundMe page on there, and I did repost that on the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack Facebook page. So if you're interested in trying to help out the family of a tragic accident, then go to our Facebook page at the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack, Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack on our Facebook page, and read about the wonderful person that he was, and be able to donate. So they had a scuba death that was in early February, so it wasn't that long ago. And now we have this recent death, which was Fausto Martins. He's also known as Steve. We also found out that he was a dive student at another dive school before going to CDA. So we did find out that he was a student at the Ocean Corporation out in Houston, Texas. Many of you know that we recently did an episode and a tour of the facility. Amazing facility, really love the guys over there. But they let him go from their dive program for undisclosed reasons. So they're not able to tell me much, even though we have a good relationship to it. They're protecting their students' right to privacy, even in death. And they're not able to tell us much. But we did find out that, he was a former student at the Ocean Corporation. So he ended up going to CDA. CDA accepted him into their dive program. And unfortunately, he did pass away during a training dive. Now, Leo, there's some other news stories out there that are saying that it was an advanced underwater welding class, and there's all this disinformation out there. The media tries their best. I'm not going to sit here and bash the media. They're reporters that are trying their best to understand something that they don't understand. So that's why we're here, and we're going to help them out a little bit as far as kind of getting the whole story out there. So I know you're very close to the school and some of the people that are associated with it. What happened to Fausto? What was he doing at the time?
Well, to my my knowledge and undisclosed sources, they all confirm that he was on dive station, which is known as dive station 7, closer to the cafeteria area. And you had the sophomore class as well as the senior class. Sophomore class dealing with the lift bags, and the senior class dealing with the lift bags, and the sophomore class is dealing with rigging.
Okay, so that's kind of like knot tying. They were practicing like their knots, right?
Roger.
Now, they were also reporting zero visibility. Was this a special zero visibility class, or was it just the normal conditions of the river?
Okay, so Trout River is probably 0 to 2 feet of visibility, if that, on a best day. Okay. It is real brash water. It ranges anywhere between, like I said, 0 to 2 feet of visibility. So it's always like that. Okay. Doesn't get any better. So that's just the training environment, and that's the training tempo that we utilize during our time at that school for training.
Right, and that's not really, it's really hard to deal in those conditions when you're learning how to dive, but it's not really completely unheard of. There wasn't really any training tanks at the College of Oceaneering, right, Johnny? You guys just dove right there.
Yep, we would dive right there in the harbor. We had tanks, but most of our training was right there in the harbor. So,
right. So the fact that it wasn't zero, that it wasn't close to zero visibility, that's not unheard of.
Nope.
But given if you had tanks, maybe splash them in the tank for their first couple go rounds, and get accustomed to it first. So that, again, that's just procedural. So what happened next? He was underwater and rigging.
Right. So, according to my sources, they said that, they splashed at 0900, went down bottom. It wasn't more than a few minutes that comms went silent. And when comms went silent, of course, the comms guy did his best to reestablish communications, and that didn't happen. So I'm hearing that there was also another diver at bottom who saw him laid down. And when that happened, that's when he gathered him and started coming up, now communicating with his communications and explaining what was going on.
Yeah, and I also kind of heard the same thing from another source, that he was unresponsive, and that he looked, he was showing symptoms of drowning, without getting too graphic or anything. It sounds like he did drown. And one of the big questions that we have as commercial divers is, how does somebody drown with a hat that's being supplied from the surface with air? Right. So a lot of this stuff, is a hypothetical, but as far as the equipment's concerned, we're not going to talk too much about the equipment, but there is a piece of the equipment that's called a neck dam. I've had dives before to where if my neck dam's loose, I'm getting water in the hat. Mm-hmm. And if you don't know how to get the water out, then you could probably find yourself in a little bit of trouble there. So again, that's something that might have happened. We're not sure. Did you hear anything kind of like that, Leo?
Yeah, most definitely. Multiple times. I've heard students' concerns and complaints about the neck dams either being too tight or either being too loose, or, still leaking when they do hit bottom. And it's just an ongoing complaint and concern from a lot of students.
Right. So again, we don't know what happened. We weren't there, but we do kind of sort of have heard stories. And this is going off of reports from some of the news sources that have reported that the diver's hat was filling with water. So, that's something that we're not reporting. That's something that the the news sources are reporting. I know First Action News is doing a good job at covering some of this, and another news source in Jacksonville was doing a good job at covering the story. But one of them, I forget which one. I'm not sure if you remember. They did report that the hat was filling with water. So that's kind of how he possibly drowned. Was that the hat filled with water?
Okay, so some of my undisclosed sources have said that upon extracting him from the bottom, they did see that he did look like he ingested a lot of amount of water. So, which also goes in line with someone whose hat flooded.
Right. So, I mean, that's something, like I said, we're all just kind of piecing together, without saying it, definitely happened. We're just kind of piecing it together in our minds that, he didn't, he might have ingested a lot of water. Again, we don't know how or why and what happened. One of my sources, which is the same as your source, Leo, they mentioned that all this stuff happened pretty quick, right?
Yeah, Roger. Went from 09 to almost 09 to like 07 within those few minutes right there. It was that quick. There was still enough time to be putting other divers in the water. So,
and to tell you the truth, I mean, hats off to those dive students there that did acted as quickly as they possibly could. They're in a situation that they shouldn't be in. And I really hope that, the instructors were there the whole step of the way to be able to guide the rescue operations, because that's going to come under scrutiny too. There's going to be a lot of things that are going to be happening like pretty darn quickly. And that's going to be one of them is, the questions are going to be coming on where were they at? What were they doing? And why were they not able to resuscitate them in time? What was the delay? What happened?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, as we all know that when you're on communications, you should be checking in with your diver every 10 to 15, seconds, 10 to 20 seconds in between those. And, when you do those things, it's not only for your safety, but for the safety of the diver and those around you.
And from what you heard, where was this dive? Was it 50 feet deep, or was it, off about 100 yards or so?
Oh, negative. Dive Station 7 is no more than 25 feet ish, and less. So if that,
yeah.
Depending on
I was hearing from what you just said, that to like almost 10 feet of water to something real shallow and not that far away from the station.
Yeah, Roger. I mean, at best, is at certain parts of Dive Station 7 it may be hit 20, 25, but predominantly it's pretty shallow.
So it's not it's not that far away then. Okay.
No, it's not. Not at all.
And water's fairly calm.
Well, it varies, but most of the time it is calm. It's just dark.
Okay. So, I mean, a lot of the news reports were saying that he was in an underwater welding class. There was an advanced diving class. I mean, that kind of throws a lot of people off. As divers, we kind of know that there's, it might not be that, what did you hear about any of that stuff?
Well, from my personal experience, I know that there isn't an advanced course in that school for that dive station. It was just said the wrong way. There is an underwater welding section of the course, which is only a week or 2 weeks long. But Dive Station 7, there is no underwater welding going on. They do have dive tanks, which is where they do the underwater welding training. So predominantly when you're on Dive Station 7, you're doing either rigging or you're doing the salvage projects.
And then that's what your source, your unconfirmed sources said, that he was on Dive Station 7. So that's kind of why we're talking so much about Dive Station 7. Right. So but yeah, so that's the thing too, is that we've never heard of advanced diving courses. This is a typical commercial dive program that's going to put out tenders. You don't get your diver card until after you fulfill the requirements, which is 100 days or something, or a certain amount of dives. I forget. I have to go back and look at that, but you get your tender card. Yeah.
Right. It varies from whether it be DCBC or whichever other organization. Would.
Right. I mean, any death is saddening and unfortunate, you know, but it's especially sad when they don't even get a chance to start the trade, you know. And that's kind of why it hits hard, you know, with both of these deaths, the scuba death, you know, during the training, and also this current one that we've had now, you know. So again, our hearts and prayers, you know, go out to the families of all involved in these tragedies, you know, and we really hope that things get better over there at CDA, you know, and hopefully they can have some answers to some tough questions that they're going to be getting pretty soon. You know, it's not just the community that's asking these tough questions, but also the families of the accident victims, you know.
Definitely.
So, is there anything else that we can say about this incident that might have been potentially misreported in the news?
I would say that he was not doing underwater welding at that dive station, as well as
from personal experience, they're not doing underwater welding at dive stations
at all. That's why they have the dive tanks, which are located near the pool.
Okay. And that's one of the other things too that kind of it kind of got me a little upset about, you know, the whole situation here with these we're going to go, you know, going back to the diver fatality we just had. They were diving the same day afterwards, from what we've been told by these sources. Again, like I said, we can't verify it because we don't have a drone or anything over there. But, you know, these sources are telling us, you know, me, you, that they were diving the same day.
Yeah. They my undisclosed source definitely expressed that there were a few classes that pulled out, but there was around one that was told to continue diving.
Jeez.
Wow.
How do you put on a hat like an hour later? I mean, I'm just exaggerating, you know, at least I hope I'm exaggerating.
Yeah.
How do you put on a hat like an hour later and go diving after you see your classmate being brought up from the water, you know, not breathing?
Me personally, you know, us military vets, you know, some of us have seen things, some of us haven't. But I know after seeing someone not make it, I'm not mentally at 100%. And this is us being trained and built for this.
Right.
Versus, you know, students that maybe was a mailman before dive school, you know, or a teacher, you know, not built for this. But to not address it or to even give grief counseling or anything to check on mental health, because we know that mental health is big right now.
Yeah.
Right.
And we don't know if they did offer, you know, grief counseling, but, you know, from we've heard from a lot of the sources, you know, there wasn't any grief counseling offered, you know, maybe they're doing it today. Who knows? Maybe it takes some time, you know, to offer. We don't know. But I don't know.
That's
I'm just saying these sources are telling us that they were diving the same day as the fatality.
Yeah. I mean, there's no benefit in the doubt.
Bad taste.
Yeah. At least muster, you know, everybody up and say, hey.
Right.
Yeah. At least do a safety stand down for a couple days.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And like I said, the undisclosed sources definitely expressed that it was not even addressed. Some students didn't even know that it happened because they were on another dive station until they saw the flag at half mast at formation, end of day formation. And it still wasn't expressed by the staff of what happened.
Yeah.
So it was just word of mouth.
Man, it's a terrible deal. You know, I'm not sure what they were thinking, if they were just shell shocked or something, you know, but it's just not cool, you know, at all, you know. And again, like I said, our hearts are definitely with Steve, you know, that lost his life, and also the other diver that lost his life in the scuba incident. You know, both of these guys, you know, one of them was a veteran too.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And
Vic was a brother. He was a veteran.
Yeah. And the diver, the scuba death, he was a veteran. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And both left behind wonderful, beautiful looking children, So that's why we're doing our due diligence here too, because it's especially when you have kids, man, it's the unimaginable, It's definitely the unimaginable, and I really hope that they're taken care of, and they're definitely in our hearts and prayers, their family, and like I said, it's just tough. It's tough all around.
I would expect, if I was running any organization or institute, and someone that either worked for me or I was teaching, lost their life, I definitely would be doing everything in my power to be there for the family and the loved ones, to support them through these tough times. So, but I just want those families to know that they have the support of the fellow divers.
They do
through these tough times. Absolutely
do. Any students over there that if you're not getting the counseling that you need and you want to talk to someone, we're always open here. Any other and there's other divers too that would also be willing to talk with you. There's some divers that have seen stuff, as far as different accidents, construction accidents, that'll be able to help you kind of work through it. And knowing our community, there's going to be a lot that'll volunteer to talk to you guys. But we do recommend that you do talk to a professional. Try to get some professional grief counseling. Talk to a therapist, and if you have the means, that's please do so. If it's not being provided, okay.
Right.
But yeah, I mean that's pretty much all we kind of can say about the situation. And as we hear more, and as we're about to verify some more of these stories and second and third hand accounts, hopefully we can verify them through some of the police reports and stuff. But we'll be providing you guys with some updates as we get them. So we're kind of putting the show on hold for a little bit as we cover this story, because we feel that it's very important to cover, and it's going to command our full attention right now. So and that goes for anyone else that wants to talk. Give us a shout. If you want legal counsel to know what your rights are, one of the main sponsors of our show is Bobby DeLeese. He has represented certain clients. He has had some cases involving dive schools before in the past. And go ahead and give him a shout, and also look up other lawyers that are familiar with diving. So that's the big thing. That's the important thing. There's other nautical lawyers. I don't have any of their names or anything, but you can definitely look them up and search for them. But we know Bobby DeLeese is a good dude, and we definitely recommend him. Is there anything else you guys kind of want to add to this update?
Negative.
That's about it. Feel free to like was expressed. Feel free to contact any one of us, and you don't have to keep silent if you don't want to. As far as what you're going through, it's okay to feel how you're feeling, and it's okay to find someone and talk about it.
Yeah, I mean, especially if it's related to a case like this, it's like there's no way somebody can force you to be silent. Especially if you saw something. There's absolutely no way that anyone can make you sign like an NDA or something, because it's not like you're an employee of the company or anything like that.
Right.
So I'm not saying that's what's going on, but I'm just saying that something like that is not legal at all. At least from what I've researched, there's it's kind of like if there's a rape on campus, you can't make the witnesses of that rape sign an NDA.
Right. Silence is violence.
You can't. So I'm just saying that's kind of speak up. If you need to speak up. So you can reach out to us on our Instagram at Bottom Dwellers DS, on our Facebook page, Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack. And Leo, we could find you at where?
at the Panamanian _Poppy.
All right, Panamanian _Poppy, perfect. And you do have a pretty good presence, and your ear is always open. Especially to divers just starting out, which is great.
Most definitely.
Awesome.
Definitely appreciate it. Definitely look forward to continuing this, and you guys keep up the good fight. Keep breaking these news.
Yeah, thank you. And Leo, we'll have you on, the show sometime in the future, hopefully under better circumstances. And we'll get back to kind of talking about what we love, talking about diving, because we don't like covering these stories. This is nothing that we're trying to, it's
heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. It is. I mean, words just don't describe it, and we're doing this much too often.
Yeah.
We're doing these kind of stories much too often. It's getting tiring. I'm physically exhausted from it, emotionally exhausted from it. So.
It is. And not to interrupt you, but it's just my biggest thing is these families, these kids, these guys, whether they be in the field or at schools, like these families are just left, some of them with no answers, some of them with fragmented answers, some of them just having to fend for themselves and pick up the slack that, they lost with their spouses and their family members. And I think we as a community need to, it would behoove us to step up and show that, you're not just a number.
Mm-hmm. Well said. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you in the next update of the Bottom Dwellers Dive Shack. And yeah, like I said, we'll see you on the next one.